So first up was one that was actually shared by Thorsten. No surprise, I featured him a lot over the last year, but it's pretty important for security. He shared a really handy PowerShell script, or PowerShell module for get-gpp password, which searches a domain controller for the groups.xml, scheduled tasks.xml, services.xml, and data sources.xml, and returns any plain text passwords that it might find. So for securing those passwords, this is one you'll definitely want to run against your domain controllers to make sure that you're all copacetic. Next one up is ViewDNS.info, which is just awesome, and I featured it pretty recently, I believe. But with this, you could do pretty much every kind of IP and DNS lookup imaginable, including checking to see if a domain is available in Iran and China through their infamous firewalls. And if you're using a host provider, you can see what other domains are running on the same servers as your own domain. So it's really, really useful stuff. It can do that and a lot more. I think that together with services like Qualysys, Shodan, this is a really great resource for anyone using hosting services to make sure that their site is secure as possible and also just in good running order. And of course, I'd have to feature James Rankin among the top scripts, tricks, and tips. James is a blogging machine. He churns out high quality and highly detailed blog posts like no other. I could have featured multiple blog posts from him on this year's best of, like his blog posts on Teams and FSLogics, but in the end I decided to only highlight one, which selfishly promotes a crusade that I am on. In this blog post, James goes through reasons for not using network drives on Citrix virtual apps and desktops. This is something I'm pretty passionate about too, for a lot of different reasons. If you work somewhere that has a lot of map network drives and you're wondering what's the big deal, check out James's excellent blog post and he'll probably change your mind. This year, Steve Syfuh unloaded an incredible thread of tweets going into an amazing comprehensive detail of the Windows logon process and every single step along the way. It was really fascinating. And this is one of those things that I feel like everyone in IT should read. So if you haven't read it yet, this is your chance. Check it out and I'll share it with this episode. So a little while ago, Mitre.org shared their list of the 25 most dangerous software weaknesses. And these weaknesses are dangerous because they're often easy to find, exploit, and can allow adversaries to completely take over a system, steal data, or prevent an application from working. The top 25 is a valuable community resource that can help developers, testers, and users, as well as PMs, security researchers, and educators provide insight into the most severe and current security weaknesses. So security and ransomware attacks and phishing attacks and all kinds of different attacks were a pretty common thread throughout the podcast this year, and this is one that definitely helps to inform you about what were the most prevalent threats of 2020 in terms of InfoSec, so check that out. Ironman Software shared their top 50 PowerShell modules this year. It includes a Selenium module for unit testing, a toast notification module for popping up those cool toast notifications, and much more. So check that out if you're into your PowerShell. The awesome Johan shared a script for detecting several different VPNs that you might be running, and this was pretty important this year, obviously, with the work from home surge. So his script can help you detect if Palo Alto Global Protect is running, Cisco, Juniper, Dell VPN or SonicWall, F5 Networks VPN, and more. So if you have the need to put that in a script, you should check this out. And earlier this year, ControlUp made their very popular Analyze User Logon script available for use by anyone. No need to have ControlUp to run the script or be a paying customer, which is awesome. Developed by Guy Leach and with a lot of help from Trent Tai, I believe. The script is a killer for ascertaining what a user's true logon duration is. So there's various different tools out there for analyzing a user logon, but they tend to be very inconsistent. This is a really, really great way of analyzing that logon duration and breaking it down very granularly too. Jeremy Moskowitz is someone who also had a bumper year when it comes to churning out top quality blog posts. You should check out his WVD blog post, but the one I want to highlight here is his blog post on MSIX App Attach. This is by far the best blog post for anyone looking to get started to try it out. If you follow his blog post, you don't even have to have MSIX packages to try it. He points you in the direction to grab some pre-packaged MSIX packages to wrap up into your app attach layers. So check out that blog post if you want to get started. On a quick topic on MSIX, something else I featured in this segment this year, MSIX Hero. This is a really awesome tool, making things pretty simple for doing things like signing your MSIX packages, for generating the VHDs for your MSIX packages to get them ready for app attach, and much more. It's definitely one worth having in your tool belt, so check that out. Along with Master Packager, MSIX Hero is one of my go-to tools this year. And with Microsoft's technologies and kind of a play into app attach, Windows Virtual Desktop had a really big year this year. And my buddy Neil created the WVD Community, which you can find at wvdcommunity.com. If you're not touching WVD in your environment right now, it's likely that you're at least going to kick the tires at some point. So it's good to get in now and be a part of the community. So check that out. Johan Schrawillis, I'm really sorry I butchered that last name, but Johan shared an absolutely beautiful custom user interface that you can use in your SCCM task sequences. So that's it. I mean, it doesn't sound very impressive just saying that, but you've got to see this. If you want to, you can check out the video version of the podcast on YouTube and you'll be able to see it for yourself, or I'll share a link and you'll be able to see it within the blog post. It's very, very pretty. It's going to be something you'll want to put into your environment if you use task sequences, which almost everyone does. And I couldn't have a best of without including something from Guy Leach. So the one that I picked is a quick PowerShell commandlet that shows all automatic services which aren't running. And it's a really simple one-liner. So this isn't by any means one of the scripts that he's put out that obviously took a long time for him to create, but it's one that I feel is particularly useful because if you're rebooting servers or services for patching, or there's an issue in your environment, one of the first things you want to check if the server comes back up, but your service or your web app or your application or whatever isn't functioning correctly, one of the first things you want to do is check to make sure that any automatic services are started that should be started. So this is a really handy one-liner to check that. For everyone using FSLogix, which should be most people in enterprise now because Microsoft bought FSLogix, Jim Moyle had a really great script called FSLShringDisk, which helps you shrink the size of the virtual hard disks being used for your FSLogix profile containers. And there's substantial storage savings by running this script. So I encourage you to check it out and to at least test it first in your environment, and then you're probably going to be convinced and run it against your entire share of profiles. And this year, my buddy Andrew Morgan shared a really awesome tool on his GitHub repo called WOLMesh, or WOLMesh, which is for Wake on LAN mesh. If, like me, you work somewhere where Wake on LAN is blocked on the network, this could be a great solution for you. It's Wake on LAN without the broadcast mechanism. You require a web server and a light agent to run on any machine that you'd like to be able to power on remotely. I believe the agent registers the PC with the backend web service. The web service uses REST APIs to trigger a power on of any PC on the same subnet as you require. So with the influx of work from home this year, if you support something like Remote PC, Direct Access, or another product that enables users to remote into their desktop back in the office, this can come in very handy. Sometimes machines get accidentally shut down, or someone inadvertently turns it off and you need to power back on remotely, and this is a perfect solution for that. NirSoft Tools have created some really great tools, including an advanced run tool to easily launch a program with the desired run options directly from Windows Explorer. So check out nirsoft.net for this tool and a lot of other tools. They published quite a few this year that are definitely worth checking out. A pretty handy one, again, with remote work being so important this year and the ability to maybe test your environment out. There's an input-delay.glitch.me website, which, don't worry, I'll share a link with it with this episode so you don't have to remember the URL. But if you want to be able to see what amount of delay is too annoying for a user interaction like typing, you're able to simulate input delay and figure out what the tolerance level is. So that's pretty cool. And my buddy Trent Tai this year shared a thread on Twitter on how you can measure how long your users sit at the Logon banner screen using Process Monitor and filters. So one of the catches is that you need to be able to run the tracing before the users are logged on, and the thread goes into how you can do that. And you might be surprised, or actually you're probably not surprised, if you have a Logon banner screen, for example, running on your virtual desktops, you probably already know it's a big pain in the butt and it takes a long time. But if you want to see just how long, follow Trent's thread and you'll be able to check that out for yourself. And finally, again, with just the way the year was, Microsoft Teams had a bumper year as well as Zoom. And there's a really great, simple blog post by Tracy Vander Schiff on how to create a lobby waiting screen. So to customize the waiting screen for your Microsoft Teams live events. It's a very simple one, and I think the year was too crazy for most people to dive into that customization. But if you have the time now and you want to personalize that Teams waiting screen a little bit more, check out this blog post. And that's it for another episode. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported the podcast over the last 3 years. Not just the sponsors, but also you for listening each and every week. I'm surprised by how popular the podcast has been. The listens are pretty consistent week on week. So thank you so much. And I wish you all the best for the year ahead. Happy New Year.